Good afternoon, Secretary. Just to start off, Secretary, on 14 October 2025, you testified before this commission under oath, then as Undersecretary for Budget Preparation and Execution. Is that correct, sir?
Yes, Commissioner, yes.
Yeah. Have you reviewed the transcript of stenographic notes of that hearing, including your own testimony and the testimony of former DBM Secretary Amina Pangandaman?
Yes, Commissioner, yes.
Yeah. So for the record, when did you assume the position of acting Secretary of DBM? And as acting Secretary today, do you adopt the institutional positions articulated by Secretary Pangandaman during that hearing and stand by your own statements made under oath at that time unless expressly corrected today?
Yes, my appointment was issued last December 3, and I took my oath last December 9 as the acting secretary. Yes, I adopt the institutional position articulated by Secretary Pangandaman during that hearing with some clarification as we proceed with our hearing today. And I stand by my statement made under oath at that time unless expressed corrected today. So yes, I will. Yes.
Thank you. Maybe Secretary, we go straight into the heart of the matter, which is really the DBM's awareness of amendments and insertions in the budget. Secretary Pangandaman repeatedly stated under oath that DBM was not aware of amendments or insertions made to the NEP during the legislative process at any point in time. Do you affirm this position today?
Yes, we are not aware as to when the changes as far as the process, the legislative process. We only be aware if we only have that, when we have already that enrolled bill.
Enrolled bill. At what stage is that, Secretary?
After the deliberation of both houses, right now they are in the BICAM, so after that, they have to have that kind of enrolled bill so that it will be supposed to be signed by the president. But even before the signing of the president, we have to look at what has been enrolled bill so that we will know what are the provisions going to change at the same time. So we will know also what are the provisions, comparing it from our previous submission based on NEP and what is in the enrolled bill.
Okay. So just to clarify, you know the details of the NEP?
Yes.
Yes. So at what precise stage does DBM lose visibility over the budget?
Well, basically, it starts from when we submit the budget to Congress, that is after the deliberation as far as our macroeconomic parameters. Because at the very instance first, they will hear us at the committee level, the economic managers or the DBCC, which is composed of DBM, DUF, NEDA, and at the same time with the Office of the President, and our source institution, which is the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas, discuss what we call the general principles, which is the macroeconomic parameters and the projected revenue and the aggregate level of budget. So after that, we leave it to the Congress with a specific discussion of the different departments and agencies at the committee level. And of course, after the committee level, then they have the plenary debate as far as the budget of the different departments and agencies.
Yeah. But Secretary, if you look at the budget that have been submitted in prior years, there's a large discrepancy between the NEP and the GAA. As the DBM and, you are actually playing a crucial role in fiscal discipline and efficiency. Do you not consider it as prime responsibility to understand the differences, what has been amended or as inserted, and to understand the details of that so that you would be able to protect the budget and the spending of that budget.
We will only know the difference of that enrolled bill as compared to our GA once it's already supposed to be submitted to the president. But even before that, we have to take a look at that enrolled bill just to look at the differences of the NEP and the GAA, or what we call the enrolled bill, so that we will know how to respond if there are any changes, and even the veto, if there are any items that should be vetoed. That is the only time that we have to look at that. We can see the difference between the NEP and the GAA or the enrolled bill.
And in prior years, Secretary, have we vetoed, and how much have we vetoed, and on what basis?
Yes, we have in the past, for this 2025 budget, we have vetoed some items specific for the DPWH, that is around 26 to 27 billion was vetoed upon recommendation of the DBM, but of course with the identification and coordination with the DPWH, who identified what are those projects that should be vetoed, because it will depend on the implementation of the departments of Public Works and Highways.
Do we have formal copies of that, Secretary? What's the difference between the NEP and GAA, and then the items that we have vetoed subsequently?
We have a statement of differences. Yeah, we always prepare that, the statement differences between NEP and the GAA. But as to the provision of the 26 to 27 billion that should be vetoed, it's providing our veto message. What are those items that should be vetoed? Okay. And that's a total of 26 to 27. So item,
Do we have that on
we have that,
record?
right? What is that again?
Commissioner, I think the 26 billion vetoed is only less than 10% of the 271 billion that was inserted in 2025. Because the total insertion in 2025 alone was 271 billion.
Yeah. So if you can see the veto message, there's a direct veto there that states how much is the amount. So it's 26,065 billion. Yes, that is, and also the details of that is found in our volume program projects, volume 1C, the list of PAPs volumes. Yes. So here, I think it's already marked as an exhibit. Late, yeah. This one, the exhibit one, is already stated in the exhibit.
Secretary Toledo, just on that matter, considering that the 26 billion is a small amount out of the total insertion, I'm sure you rely on the department secretaries to tell you, do they really have enough time to look at the difference between NEP and the JA for them to be able to recommend? Or maybe my question is, who is involved in determining what items to veto? Does it go back to DBCC or no more?
With the constraint of time, I guess, it's no longer being brought to the DBCC, but I understand this was discussed as in the discussion with Sec Pangandaman. It was raised during one of the meetings with the president as to what are those programs and projects that should be vetoed.
Yeah, but obviously at that point, without the help of the line agencies, that's not going to be enough, no? And that's why I think what's coming out is there should have been more projects vetoed than just the 26 billion.
Yeah, I understand, Mr. Commissioner Babes, sorry. I'm known as Secretary Babes kasi before pa. So yes, I understand that, Commissioner, but the one who identified these projects are coming from the BWH. They're the one who are responsible in identifying those projects that should be vetoed, knowing that it cannot be implemented.
Yeah.
Especially if they are flood control projects, and based on our own analysis, what is coming out is a lot of the insertions did not happen in O2, but it is in O3, yung mga flood mitigation, all of that, no? And we can show you in very colorful diagrams that really the insertions were not in flood control program. Because for anyone to insert in flood control, there are some requirements, no, social impact, meets and bounds, etc. No, but in O3 or yung other projects, just a one-liner, two-liner project description will find its way into the budget. No, so it's very unfortunate that not enough time was given, because a lot of those, especially on dredging, flood mitigation, the one that happened in Cebu, all of that should have been vetoed because they had no basis whatsoever, no, for it to be funded, no.
Yes, Commissioner, but as far as DBEP is concerned, it will be difficult on our part also to identify what should have been vetoed. The agency, so that's why the agency, we leave it to the agency to identify those projects that should be vetoed.
I think another observation is that these projects that have not been vetoed would have been considered as priority as well by the DPWH, right? Or any other agencies. Would you know why these were not included in their NEP? Because they would have been the agency or the body of government who should have known what the projects are needed to implement. How come it would take legislator to amend or insert the budget and only a portion of that is being vetoed at the end?
From our end, we don't know what's the reason why it was included in the GAA through the Congress process or the legislative process, because that's not in there. So what we only can assure you is what is included in the NEP is that what we saw and that should be included. So beyond that, we don't know the reason why it's not included in the NEP, because that is what we call the adjustment made by Congress.
Because Secretary Toledo, what happened was it was further aggravated by Congress carving out about 200 billion from the budget of DPWH. So the total insertion came out to the additional 270 plus additional 200 coming from the NEP. I think that's why we have this problem, huge problem, because really the insertions is not just 271, but an additional of about 200 from the NEP that was submitted by DPWH. So it's really disappointing that nobody flagged this early to the president, because many of those under the carved-out project and the additional should have really been vetoed instead of just 26 billion.
Yes, Commissioner, but it's unfortunate on our part that we don't know actually those insertion coming from the legislator. That's because as it's a process that is done by at the legislative level. Yeah, and I think that should be coordinated also with the DPWH, if just in case if this really need to implement that project.
So, Secretary, do you accept that the role of the DBM is somehow more reactive rather than proactive management of the budget?
Yeah. In terms of the preparation, we are supposed to be on top of it. But in terms of legislation, we are just a reactive because we of course depend on the wisdom of the legislators, of course. But as to the preparation, yes, we are on top of that. That's why, because as you can see, we have to live in what is supposed to be the total aggregate level, and we have to manage that. Okay, given the limited fiscal space that we have, that's why we need to allocate, okay, those funds needing for the different departments and agencies.
So, Secretary, given your role now, would you have recommendations on how to improve the budgeting process to make it more transparent and for the DBM at least to have a more proactive role in making sure that the budget is prepared and implemented accordingly?
Yes, Commissioner. Well, in terms of budget preparations, okay, we have every year we update our budget preparation guidelines, or what we call the budget call, and even our budget priorities framework. And for this time, we have already given our technical working group that we have to come up with what are the reforms that we have to implement in terms of budget preparation, specifically for DPWH, okay? Because nandun po yung may issue. So that's why we have focused on looking at how we can improve our budget preparation as far as the DPWH. So given that, we have already met with the DPWH last November 26, which we agreed with some agreements or reforms that we have to implement. Now, for 2027, okay, we have actually initiated yung magkakaroon na po siya ngayon ng what we call identification of programs, projects with what tinatawag with coordinates already with station, okay, station location, so that we can avoid that duplication. Okay, that's kasi lumabas sa mga nakaraang budget preparation, meron mga duplication. So we have right now, they've assured us, and I think you can also hear from Secretary Vince that they have that implementation already, that they have to identify specific projects para maiwasan natin yung mga duplication. Now, on the part of sa atin naman, DBM, and even for other departments and agencies, we're working both with those government agencies to have this, what we call the monitoring and evaluation technology. Right now, we have, as far as DBM is concerned, we have the Project DIME, what we call the digital information, digital imaging, digital imaging for monitoring and evaluation, wherein agencies are requested to enroll those projects and programs that should be monitored. Kaya mamonitor natin through the use of, satellites and drones para ma-monitor natin yan by before, ongoing, and after. So those are some of the reforms that we are now working with the DBM together with our departments and agencies.
Any other reforms because you may want to consider and recognize that each congressman, they have their own priority local projects. Alam naman natin yun, no? But I think this was the predecessor, no? Kaya nagkaroon ng pork barrel because precisely to give an allocation to each congressional district a certain amount, limit them to that amount, and allow them to choose projects within a certain menu of projects. The reason for giving them that is so that they don't mangle your NEP. No, I think those of you who have been there for some time know that, no? But of course, the pork barrel was considered illegal. Now they have mastered the process of doing the insertions as early as the NEP and as early as the JA. So hindi na siya tawag pork barrel. But to me, whatever you call it, it's still pork barrel, no? But you have to recognize that each congressional district or each congressman have their own local infrastructure projects that they want implemented, which the agencies do not know. No? For me, for example, when I was with DPWH, I recognized that. No? And that's why we allowed them a fixed amount and a menu of projects to choose from. Wag naman nung kahit ano. No? So with that, don't touch my NEP. If you touch my NEP, I will not give you a single centavo of LIP. No?
Okay.
I think you may want to revert back to that to recognize that you have to give certain leeway to members of Congress for local projects that the agencies have not identified.
Yeah, Commissioner. Thank you for that suggestion, Commissioner. I guess that is a good suggestion that we can bring up to the management or even to the Secretary of DPWH, Secretary Vince Dizon, as far as that proposal. So that is the allocation by district from the local for the local infrastructure project, and we have to come up with a menu of projects that you can identify, and not to touch the supposed to be
The
NEP for the department itself, the core projects and programs of the department.
Yeah, that's the trade-off. That's why you give them the NEP, so that they don't touch that you give them some, call it allocable or whatever nomenclature you use.
Yes.
But they should not touch the NEP. Because
core.
the NEP is the President's priority program for the coming year, no? Eh pag pinagalaw natin yan, eh nawawala yung content at nawawala yung programa na gustong i-execute ng executive department.
Yes.
Secretary, I'm not sure if this is also applicable to your department, but in the private sector, we have what we call end-to-end reconciliation, where we have as a starting point the NEP, right, which is supported by programs that supports the priorities of the executive, right? And then the master plan that Secretary Babes has always been talking about. And then any movement in that NEP, whether it's in the BICAM, as well as when it gets to the GAA, it's all supported by detail and who inserted what, who amended what. Is that something that you also want to implement so that there is there's transparency in the movements of the budget amounts duly supported by people who also did the amendments so that we have accountability and people would understand where the budget went to?
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Kasi on our part, yun din ho ang gusto naming malaman. At the very, kumbaga, approval of the GOV, we know what is supposed to be the changes. And I think that is what we are doing right now. We've been provided with those information as to what transpired sa HGOV. First is the HGOV, yung House GOV or GOV, General Appropriations Bill. So we have that already. As a matter of fact, we have compared them that. And we follow through what is right now being done by BICAM. Tinitignan na po namin. That's why until kahapon, pero nag-stop sa DPWH hindi natapos. Okay, I don't know, there's siguro issues pala that they have to settle. And that's what we are doing right now, so that at our end, we are already aware what are the changes and adjustments has been made. And on our part also, when we do the, kumbaga, review, when we have the enrolled bill, hindi na rin ho kami mahirapan kasi kailangan rin makita yan before the president signs the enrolled bill. Okay. So, and one good thing right now, it's even at this Congress, they have already adopted some reforms in terms of, nakalive na rin yung kanilang mga ginagawa, yung, what is Barcy again? Budget Amendment and Review Subcommittee. Nakalive na rin po yung kanilang mga ginagawa doon. And right now, we are so welcoming po on our part, being advocate of open government. So meron na po yung BICAM, nakaano na rin siya. Live screening, streaming na rin po siya. So those are some sort of the reforms that right now being implemented. So kami natutuwa rin po on our part so we can monitor what is happening at the BICAM. Oh yeah. And I think that is also being published in their website, those changes. Yes.
So, Secretary, it will be supported by details. What projects were inserted and who proposed those projects?
Yun, that is what we expect. But also, makikita naman po natin doon sa minutes. Actually, even our, nagmo-monitor po kami and the discussion. So we know who made the... But this is already a BICAM. So it's, I think, no specific proponent as to who proposed that. But I think it's an institution, amendments. It's no longer by individual congressmen kung sino nag-propose, because I think that was taken during their, at the BARC or during the HGAB preparation.
But that HGAB preparation, that would have details, right?
That's the promise po.
Yeah,
Yes.
because I think we've been asking for minutes of meetings of these committees, right? And we have not had any submitted with the proper details so that we can also see the movement in the budget. Yeah, I understand it. It's a body, but I think that's the question right now, right? Who do you hold accountable for this very large difference between the NEP and GAA? So I think details should be there, together with the more important information. And then you can just summarize, right?
Yes.
But if one person would like to look at who and what, then you have basis to identify accountability.
Yeah. Yes, sure. I think we also want that to happen, that so that we can trace actually and monitor it. But that is, well, as a legislative process still with the BICAMs, sa dapat makakuha tayo. But I think given this was already published, I mean rather stream live, I guess pwede na rin tayo makahingi ng what has transpired during that meeting based on their minutes. This year, previous year, wala po tayo.
Yeah, so
alam.
Secretary, you confirmed that in prior years this did not happen.
Yes, because it's the first time that we have this stream, the BICAM live. This is the first time. Go ahead.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Madam Commissioner. From what we know as DBM, during the deliberations, for example, in the last deliberation in the House of Representatives, there was a question from one legislator asking or requesting for a copy of the minutes of the committee meetings or hearings, and I think it's available online as well, that can be found. And apparently they said that that is subject to the internal rules of, in that case, the lower house. the legislator said that he was not able to secure a copy. So as far as we know, what we're saying now is we don't have any, we're blind on that because it is a legislative process even up to now. So yun lang po yung alam namin. We were there when they were debating on that, and I think that is on record. So for the past, particularly for 2025, they were asking for the minutes or the records. So wala po. Definitely wala sa DBM because the deliberations were made po at the level of in that particular case, the lower house. Ngayon po, what we are hopeful about is both houses made declarations po, public knowledge naman. Like the lower house, one of the reforms that they adopted is they said that they will be recording all of the amendments and the proponents. So, we're hopeful po na pag hiningi ninyo yung ngayon na nangyari, they will be able to give that. And I'm not sure if it's published, but they said that it will be published. And the same thing is true in the case of the Senate po. Meron po sila when we were there also during the deliberation, sinabi po nila na the intent is to record everything including the amendments that were made and who the proponents were.
Okay. Thank you.
Madam.
Thank you. Yeah. So, but we still have a problem, right? Even with the end-to-end reconciliation, if ever that's going to be implemented, because you will only see the GAA after it is after it's signed, and you will only be able to veto based on inputs from the agencies. Now, I think with the timing of when the GAA is signed and released and for comment, I don't know if it's also possible, and you are facing that problem right now, probably, right? So, how can we further improve this process aside from just moving all of these activities earlier, so that you will have time to confirm with the agencies and determine which projects to veto?
Yun nga lang po. That's really, the timing is very important here because as you can see right now, yung BICAM is still ongoing and based on the original calendar, supposed to be until today, Monday, yung kanilang BICAM, and it seems that it will not be finished within today. So that will affect us, of course, in terms of when will be the signing of the DBA, the GAA, wherein, of course, we advocate not to have a reenacted budget.
Yeah.
So I think that's challenge for all of us as going to pass the budget, okay, for 2026. So the timing is very important, as you have mentioned, Commissioner. So ang inaano lang namin dito, madalian lang, or kami rin po, madalian lang ang ginagawa namin po. Oo. Yes.
But shouldn't there be a representative of DPWH during all these deliberations so that they can already tell
Comment.
you, flag you, to you, that ito yung mga na-revise, ito yung dapat i-veto, dapat meron DPWH rep doon.
Yeah. Okay, Commissioner, actually, that is unusual actually because the BICAM is supposed to be a legislative process, a reconciliation of those items that is disagreeing provision. But this time, I guess, as we can see yesterday, they invited Secretary Vince Dizon as far as DPWH. Sabi nga nila, it should not be a precedent kasi legislative process talaga yon. But in terms of yung mga differences nila kasi, hindi sila makapag-reconcile, so that's why they invited Secretary Vince Dizon to attend. That is unprecedented again. But totoo po yan, kailangan nating makita kung ano yung mga differences, okay? But yun nga po yung ating kumbaga, constraint po natin because the time is of the essence also. to pass the budget. If not, magkakaroon tayo ng re-enacted budget. And that's we want to avoid that one to happen.
Yeah, so just based on my personal opinion, sir, I think the agencies would have the best knowledge on what projects to implement. And I would not even foresee large amendments in the NEP. So that's why we're very concerned that a large part of the budget is really after the NEP was finalized, right? At least at the executive level. So what I'm actually saying is that if there's less amendments in the legislative, then we wouldn't have an issue over time and review, right? So probably in the next budget season, there would be an improvement such that a lot of this would have been taken in the NEP and not for the legislative to amend as significantly as they have done in the past.
I agree with you, Commissioner. Yun nga po ang gusto naming talaga po that I should have less amendments, less changes, so that on our part, it will be very easy for us to convey the president. Now, wala na tayo i-veto as much as possible. We don't want that veto. Kasi nga po, kung na-veto mo siya, talagang mababawas po yan sa budget totally. If this is a direct veto, mawawala po siya. So, yun po yung gusto namin mangyari din po talaga. But, I think we need to, I don't know if you need to review the process in terms of having this legislative process as to BICAM or inviting agencies to attend the BICAM. But as I mentioned ko po, this is a legislative process na dapat makita din. And at the same time, if ever, siguro, pwede namang gawin kasi nangyari na sa DPWH.
Yep. May I? Secretary, but if we just rely on the budget process, I'll even do one step back.
Okay.
Whether these projects that are listed at the NEP are project implementation ready. No? Kasi kung hindi ready yan, talagang they will not be able to defend that. So now my question is, has DBCC adopted certain measures so that agencies who submit or include projects in the NEP, they are really ready for implementation? For example, we had the DepEd secretary here, and he was saying, we have budget for feeding program.
Yeah.
We have budget for printing of books. But there are not enough printers in the region office or even kitchens to produce the food. No? Yung ganon tipo. No? So obviously, they have over-budgeted. No? And then, to add to that, if the measure of performance is disbursement, babagsak sila. No?
Utilization.
No, these are some of the measures that we think we've seen at ICI that need to be changed. No,
Yeah.
One, again, let me mention is whether projects that are found in the NEP are ready for implementation. We know that there are many causes of delay, right of way, engineering design, no? Many of them that are included are not ready for implementation, no? Basta pinagbigyan kung sino yung nag-request, linagay dyan, no? Now, the other thing that we hope that I strongly suggest is the measure of performance, no? Because if DBM will insist on disbursement rate as the measure of performance, pabilisan ng gastos yan, regardless of paano gastusin, no?
Yeah.
Which I think we have found out that the best performer is Bulacan District 1. They're able to spend, regardless of supporting documents, of 2 billion a month. No? Ay, nako, kung if you don't change that,
Yeah.
malulusutan na naman tayo ng
Yeah.
katakot-takot na ghost niyan.
Thank you, Commissioner. Yes, as to the implementation readiness, I think as far as with discussion with the DPWH, okay, they want to make sure also that the projects that they're going to propose are ready for implementation and also coordinated at the level sa region through the RDC process or the what we call Regional Development Council so that wala nang gulo in terms of the implementation period. So that is one added factor that we have informed them that projects at the local level should be through the process of the RDC, yung Regional Development Council. Kasi sometimes diyan po nagkakaroon ng problema in the implementation when we go to the implementation kasi wala daw RDC review. So that's one. Now, in terms of measure of performance, you're correct, Commissioner, that it should not only be for our what we call the disbursement rate as a measure of performance metric. Right now po, we are already looking at the physical performance accomplishment report, which is basically ginagawa na po ngayon, twice na pong tinitignan yan in terms of our APR na tinatawag, Agency Performance Review. We are doing that on a mid-year at the same time at the year-end. So, hindi lang ako nakapagdala ng book na yan. So, we've already prepared that, the annual APR, Agency Performance Review. In factor po dyan is ang metrics po dyan is the physical and at the same time, the financial.
Make use of available technology, no? A project starts with an S-curve, okay? Now, imposibleng mauna yung financial performance versus physical performance. You have to match physical and financial performance at any period
Yeah.
during a life cycle of a project, no?
Yeah.
Yung S-curve na yan, sumusunod yan doon sa physical at saka financial. Hindi pwedeng bayad na yung project, yung physical mo, wala pa sa kalahati, no?
Wala nga, sir.
So, impose on agencies a matching of physical and financial performance per project. Makikita niyo yan. You just have to aggregate that and you will be able to see physical versus financial performance. May software yan. Murang-mura yan software na yan.
Sige. You want to... Okay na. Yes, thank you, Commissioner. Yes, totoo po yan that it should not also only measure at dapat naka-align siya doon sa ating yung pagbabayad doon sa what has been accomplished physically. And right now, we are also on our part sa DBM po, we will engage or rather we already planning to rather as sa aming department, DBM regional offices to also make visible in terms of monitoring the project. Partner, of course, with the regional, sa RDC and even doon sa mga major department agencies. Kasi ang unang-una dapat pong nakakaalam po niya, nagmo-monitor din dyan, ay doon sa dapat sa ahensya mismo.
Correct.
Oo, hindi lang po iasa sa DBM, iasa sa
No,
COA.
but I think key role of DBM here is the PhilJEPS data.
Okay.
No? Because everything starts from PhilJEPS. No? Everything starts with ano yung project, ano yung amount, sino yung na-award, because that is provided to you. No? And even at that point, malalaman na ng BIR kung magkano yung cost ng project at sino yung contractor.
Yes.
And I think one of the recommendations of ICI to BIR and to DPWH is all awarded contracts should be the basis of the income tax of the contractor. Hindi kung ano yung final, kung naglagay siya ng 60%, ang i-declare niyang income 40% na lang. Dapat ang bayaran niyang income 100% of the total cost of the project.
Okay.
No?
Yeah.
The government, BIR, has been deprived of easily half of
Yes,
the
sir.
total project cost,
Yes, sir.
no? So I think these are the reforms that ICI is suggesting, no? At the end of the day, it will be the role of the implementing agencies to take this on, no?
Yes, sir. We take note of those suggestions. These are the very good suggestions, sir. We will coordinate with, of course, our counterparts at the the PILJEPs as far as the data availability, and of course, BIR and DPWH.
Secretary, just to clarify, when do you release the funds to the agencies? Is it comprehensive release for the entire year, or is that periodic, or only when a project is completed?
Okay, I will ask our Assistant Secretary to answer a question, Commissioner.
Yes, thank you, Madam Commissioner. As far as releasing the funds for a specific year, like for example, for 2025, there are two kinds of releases that we do. For those provisions, which are, we call it as the operating requirements of the agencies. As early as November of the previous year, like for example, for 2025, November 2024, the agencies are asked to submit their budget execution documents. These are budget execution documents 1, 2, and 3. 1 refers to the financial plan, 2 refers to the physical plan, and 3 refers to the monthly disbursement program, the cash equivalent. So as early as November of the previous year, we already know how their budget is disaggregated quarterly. And then once we get that, by comparing, come January, by comparing the NEP and the GAA, the signed GAA, that's where we see which were amended, which are the new changes. So yun lang pong in the NEP, and also come out din sa GAA, yun lang po yung mag-figure in dun sa comprehensive release. So meron pong naiiwan. Though there are changes, so yung pong mga, for lack of a better term, yung insertions nga pong ginagawa, we call it the initiatives of the different legislators, yung po yung naiiwan. We subject it to for issuance of SARO. So, or yung, we call it before as the for later release.
Okay.
So naiiwan po yun. Yung comprehensive na disaggregate, yun yung from start, yung requirement niya for that whole year. Release na siya in terms of allotment. And then, yung cash equivalent of that, yung 1 quarter lang na requirement. Yun po yung as early as December naman, so that it's ready for January, ginagawa na namin yung notice of cash allocation. So it gets credited to the MDS accounts of the different agencies.
Do you, so this includes the amounts that will be paid for the projects?
Yes,
Yes,
if
for
it's
that-
a continuing,
yes.
if it's an ongoing continuing project, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay. So what about change orders? I think you mentioned about change orders, right? So this is handled using SAROS?
Yeah, for those, what we mean by changes are those affected from the NEP to the GAA.
Okay.
Yung mga insertions po
Right.
nila, yung mga amendments nila, yung mga amendments, changes and amendments. Naiiwan po ito. These are subject to issuance of SARO. So,
Okay.
hindi po sila kasama dun sa comprehensive na allotment.
So when do you release this, and what documents do you use to release?
They would be able to identify kasi makikita nila, we provide them with the aggregation of how much their comprehensive is. So, kita nila kaagad kung ano yung naiwan. And they fully know then na yung mga changes na ganyan, yung mga amendments, naiiwan siya, so they will have to request for that. So may special budget request na sinasubmit ang agency. If it's a new project, then ano po yun, magre-request ang agency. It's coupled by the supporting documents. These supporting documents are identified in our Citizens Charter. So, basically, yung mga budget execution documents 1, 2, and 3. Others, mga justification, bakit kailangan siyang i-release. Because the reason why we do that is that during the budget preparation, the preparation of the NEP, wala po yung mga items na yon. So it means that the DBM was not able to review that. So these are subjected to special budget requests and evaluation so that we would see if they really are implementation ready, they are aligned with the trust or the priorities of the agency. These are within the capability of the agency to implement, kasi kung minsan these changes or amendments ng mga insertions, let's call it insertions, kung minsan nakapasok na kaagad sa agency and yet the agency is not actually aware na may project palang pinasok na dun sa kanilang mga programs.
Okay.
So, we do the evaluation and then yung absorptive capacity pumapasok po doon. Because we would be able to see if the agency can still implement that. Kaya ba niyang i-implement? Like, for example, we'll be able to see kung ano na yung na-utilize niya. And when we look at their performance, just like what Sec Toledo said, we don't just look at the financial. Yung financial po, dalawa po yung tinitingnan natin doon kasi may obligation performance. Meron din po yung disbursement na performance. So, dalawa po yun. And then, yung physical nila. So, in this year's budget circular, we adopted a parang pinakasili cap na the agency should have been able to yung utilization nila, BUR nila, obligation as well as disbursement performance are 85% and above. And that their physical performance is also at 85% above. So kung na-meet niya po yung lahat ng criteria na yon, doon pa lang po kami mag-i-issue ng SARO, ng additional allotment, additional to their comprehensive, yes. Yes, Madam.
Ma'am, thank you. But I think historically, no, because NEP, meron ka ng budget niyan, and then you release that, and then the amendments, it will require SARO. But I think historically, what we know and what we notice is that mas malaki yung amendments, di ba? Or insertions. Let's say, for example, I don't have the numbers here, but yeah, but it appears to me also that the SAROs have been approved as well because nakita naman natin that for some of these projects, nabayaran na even before they are completed, diba? So what is the basis of the DBM to make sure that the SAROs are really valid projects that were implemented?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Commissioner. As far as knowing in our evaluation kung kakailanganin bang ma-release yun, the parameters that we're using so that proposal or that special budget request gets covered by a SARO, we look at alignment to the priorities, alignment to the PDP. We look at the implementation readiness of that project, if it's a new project or if it's a upward adjustment, like for example, they increase their targets. We also look at their, as I have mentioned, the absorptive capacity. So, yung 85% po na cap namin, it should not be lower than 85%, both for obligation, disbursement, and physical accomplishment. We also look at, of course, the fiscal space. We look at the total program, so if it can still be accommodated within the program, within the total expenditure program, and the last one is if it's a priority of the agency. So those are the parameters that we look at before they get issued a SARO. Now, if they are released SARO, then they can go into procurement. They can award the contract. Once they have awarded the contract, what we need to see is we don't usually, basically, most of the projects covered by special SAROs are, special allotment release order, are the multi-year projects or the capital outlay projects. So yung mga CAPEX usually. We rely on the, what do you call this, progress billing. So when we release those SAROs, allotment lang talaga siya. We do not cover it with NCA, with cash. Because we would need to wait for their request again for the cash once they have due and demandable payables. So doon lang po siya makikita. But before they can do that, we also ask them to submit a form. We call it the LDDAP. When they request for the cash allocation, kailangan po nakalist doon kung talagang payable na siya. It should be due and demandable. That's the only time that we can issue their additional NCAs, their cash allocation.
But in all of this, ma'am, you rely on the documents that's submitted by the agency.
Yes, Madam Commissioner.
What we require the agency is to come up with the undertakings based on our circular that they should be certifying that the projects is already covered by, of course, and with projects that are not ghost at the same time. Can I have the? Yes. Walang attachment. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So we have this certificate of undertakings, okay? For infrastructure project, all agents are required to submit certification in the form of provide support the request for release of NCA for accounts payable or due undemandable obligations. So, yun po, may undertakings po na dapat ay notarized and sworn and notarized po